walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Feel like a dynamite, ready to explode right up in the sky. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul.
That is a mouthful, ladies and gentlemen, right up there with hyperkinetic position reverser for all those old heads of pre-rework Urgot. But then their opponent is going to be dropping point Blackfrost at 2-4. Meanwhile, USLD are at 3-3. So this is essentially a do or die matchup. Whoever wins this should get into the playoffs. There is another match going on today as well between RDGN and BRT. But if that goes the way people are expecting it to, with RDGN managing to win that out, then this is basically winner moves on, loser is out, because the winner will be will be around 3-4. And then at the end of that, they'll win the head-to-head, which will advance them up into the playoffs. So high stakes, and it's going to be to the last man standing heat. So I am excited. I'm glad to have you here. Thank you, Golden, on the production side. And I'm looking forward to making it a great night.
Hey, Quacks. Just let it be known, I'm used to 3-0s and 2-0s and just everything being under the sun of just quick games right now. I'm hoping the Sigmas and the DPB team can actually play out a series tonight. Give us a banger of a show out tonight and prove to us which team deserves to be in the playoffs, because that's all that really matters to you. You worked so long to be in this situation that you are in right now. You've had lows, you've had lows. Now it's time to show us your highs and what you really need to bring to the table here. I know we've seen like Swain, AP carry. We've seen a lot of crazy stuff come out towards this part of the playoffs. If you have anything hiding under your sleeve, underneath your belt right now, it's time to pull that out and show us what really makes you a playoff team, because we all know that the top teams right now have some more to prove. So if you have anything left on that table right now, bring it out. Let us see what you have to show in that playoff series that you have going on right now.
Yep, the highs, they rise, and the lows, they go belows. So it is going to be an important matchup. And, we've covered both of these teams' heat on the broadcast before. We've had USLD on the cast. We've had Dropping Point Blackfrost there as well. And we've gotten to see kind of, hints into how these teams like to operate. And what we've seen from them is that they do like to play around that bot lane. So some of those more unorthodox bot laners, like you were talking about, we could see them today to maybe try and throw kind of a curveball and get some sort of advantage going through just the draft alone. And speaking of that draft, we are going to be getting into that draft shortly. A little bit of a delay, but it is going to be right now, actually. As I say that, so good timing. Dropping Point Blackfrost on the blue side, USLD, as you can see, on the red side. 6th place, 4th place, neck and neck in records. Really the smallest of margins separating these teams. And already we got the Sejuani band's junglers going to be the target so far.
I was going to say, I'm going to this blind, everybody. I'm going to this blind on both sides of the map right now. Sejuani, though, we know it's going to come out. We know it's going to be a ban, either played or banned right now. Corki on the same kind of map right there as well. Same kind of playing field. Corki has been tremendous and all throughout. I mean, gold all the way up to diamond masters as well. Zig is another carry. Skarner keeps the tempo up. Wax, what do you see so far?
I just see USLD are going to have to really cover their bases here, because we can see that Corki is banned away. That's a popular B1. Skarner is going to be banned away. That's a popular B1. This is kind of the defensive standard that you have to expect from a lot of teams that are on that red side. Game 1, taking away a lot of those powerful B1s. Aurora going to be the last one taken off. Ashe and Yone are still available, both very, very strong. We've seen that FYS likes to go for things like the Yone. Coda loves to go for things like the Ashe, and that's just going to be immediately snapped up. Now, USLD have kind of a choice here. They can either immediately go for the Yone, go for something strong, albeit they won't have the pairing of the Sejuani right out of the gate, or they can go down to that bot lane, and it looks like they're choosing the latter.
We already know we're in a big step up right now. Aurora banned out and Aphelios first picked here. I mean, that's how you know these teams can play here. USLD would not be confident if they didn't pick that Aphelios first. So I can't believe that Lost Zero is going to show out right now. Ashe is it's a do or die champion. I mean, either you make it work for your team and you make the utility work out for the missing damage here. We'll see what Pride picked up a little bit later in that part of the draft here. But Maokai is always another solid pick to see Ashe.
Yep, Sejuani's banned and picked. I don't think I've ever seen that one before. Defying Riot Games is coding. That is an impressive feat for a champion. But in the meantime, while we figure out what that pick is actually going to be, it's going to be the Ahri locked on up here for FYS. Now, USLD have a choice. They can go for a little bit of a counter pick, and it looks like they're going to counterpunch with the Swain. This is a champion that we have seen a ton of buffs go his way in the most recent patches. He's good in the bot lane, good in the top lane. Players in the NACL like Saludo are really popularizing him, but really his biggest home, his most comfortable bird's nest for the Crow Man himself is that mid lane. That's where we're expecting it to be. Cruz likely gonna snag that one up.
Yeah, I agree with that one too. Blitzcrank Band's another good one too. You can see that the side of DPV wants to set up ganks and set up a kind of a pick comp here. So banning out that Blitzcrank definitely helps you out in the early game as well. In USLD, they have a chess game going on. They want to kind of bait you into what's going on here. They don't want you to know when the pick's going to happen. And they want to kind of force you to take bad vision fights here. Milio's going to be a great pickup with that Ahri and Ashe on the counter table.
Yeah, I mean, I was maybe expecting to see that Maokai go into the support role for CEO of Low Elo, but this Milio is a beautiful combination to have with the Aphelios, and especially against a champion like the Lulu. I would honestly favor the Milio there. You are able to, I believe, lock down or cleanse the polymorph, so being able to shut down that Aphelios gets a whole lot harder, especially when he is also going to be able to knock back that Jax, which is going to be locked up here for worker co-ops in the top lane. Now, what is going to be the final pickup here for USLD? I was going to say the Aatrox, and it is, in fact, that champion. It was probably between me, it was going to be Rumble or Aatrox, but they already had a decent amount of AP with the Swain, and then, I mean, the Maokai going jungle also means that Leandros is probably going to be built as well. You've got a lot of AP, you need some heavy hitters, and most importantly, you need some frontline to pair on up with that Swain going forward along with the Maokai. So I like this Aatrox pick. It's a good matchup into the Jax. The biggest thing we got to worry about going into this game, going forward, at least for USLD and their sake, is the side lane, right? This Jax and getting those grubs. Denying those has to be priority number one for USLD going forward, because if they simply allow worker co-ops to be in the side lane to completely subjugate and undermine their team fight potential with this comp, then the game gets a lot harder.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what Pride has there. If I could have production, just let me know on the side lane here. But what I'm trying to figure out on the side DPP is that Ashe's Lulu, or is that Jax's Lulu? Or is that the jungler's Lulu here? Because that Lulu is going to be the main part of this whole engage style, this whole split push style here. Either they want the Jax to get a huge ahead with ganking, and then come back and team fight for objectives at the Baron at 20 minutes, or maybe an Elder Drake at like 25, 30 minutes here. Or USLD is going to say, I'll 1v1 you anywhere. I'll 1v1 you top lane, mid lane, or bot lane here. Or I'll just send Swain and Milio to come beat you up in the mid lane while the rest of my team keeps farming over and over and over again with the Aatrox and the Aphelios as well. Maokai kind of being the support in that river as well. What I need to see here is where Lulu is going to go and support it, whether it's to be the top lane for the Jax, the jungle, or the mid lane here.
Yeah, and also, the Sejuani is the thing that we want to know, by the way, production, just if that is actually Sej, because it looks like it was banned away. But my biggest concern, as we do get word that it is actually Sejuani, not sure what that first ban was then. So then, if that's the case, I worry a little bit about the damage profile for dropping point Blackfrost, because usually you don't pick Ashe to be a big carry. You usually pick it to be kind of a weak side, so you can play around that top side and get some cross map information, whether it be with the Hawk Shot or pick potential with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. But if you don't really have the ability to play around Panda, if Panda isn't really one of those players that is leaving his lane open to ganks or setting those waves up for dives, then I feel like, you go later in the game, Aphelios will get 3 items, Swain will get fully stacked Rod of Ages, and good luck on anybody's side of dropping point Blackfrosts. Those champions will never be able to kill the Swain, the Aatrox. Getting to the Aphelios is going to be so damn difficult. So I'm interested to see, besides the Jax, what else do they have up their sleeves? Obviously, they've got the Ahri, they've got the Charm, they've got the pick potential. That much is clear, but the damage to execute it is what I worry about at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Quags, with that being said, I'm going to give my draft over to DPB just because of Sejuani. The Lulu's going to be there to kind of chase down the Defelios.
Mm-hmm.
And with this game one starting right now, the real question that we have is who's going to make that first pick? Who's going to get that first blood? And who's going to keep that tempo up? Tempo is all that matters here in this ELO. And that's all that matters here when you're trying to fight for that playoff spot. If you don't want to bring this team down to your level, DPB, then you have to knock them down in a chess piece. And I don't think your vision and your engage style is what you really need right now for this type of team comp that you're fighting against.
And I think the fortunate part, you mentioned tempo, is at least for Sandy and Pride, the junglers, where I would say tempo is the most important, at least role-wise, is these are two characters that can essentially make their own tempo. Sejuani and Maokai, they are not forced to go for full clears. They are not forced to stay in their jungle until level 6. They have the ability to cut around and kind of manipulate their pathing to their own will. If a lane is gankable, they can drop camps in order to visit it. So that activeness, that awareness from Sandy and Pride is the thing that I'm really going to be looking at.
You see FYS doing a little bit of poke here with the electrocute damage, and yeah, I think right now for both teams, it's whoever's going to win that bot lane is really going to be able to take care of objectives here, take care of momentum, and take care of what needs to be done. And I mean, top lane, Jax, Aatrox, it's a 1v1. It's a skill matchup. Sejuani, Maokai, skill matchup. It's going to be whoever gets there first. Swain and Ahri, again, skill matchup. I'll take the Swain in that one, though. And with that being said, we're just going to have to see who really wants to win more, you know?
Yep, absolutely. It's at the end of the day, League of Legends is a mental battle. It's a battle not only of being able to keep your head in the game for just that specific game, but also the series at large. And if you aren't able to do that in a best of 3, then who's to say you're going to be able to do that in playoffs when it is a best of 5? So it's a test of endurance, I'm hoping, in this series. Just we want to see it go the full 3 games. We want to see which one of these teams can really hold the line for the full distance. And until then, we are just going to check out what this early game has in store. Sandy, though, we talked about it, cutting that pathing a little bit, doesn't go for the red buff, is looking for a gank onto FYS, but I like what FYS is doing here, hugging the bot side of the map, making it very difficult, but Maokai's going to go anyway.
Sandy, huge flash from Ahri preemptively, and I like that, though. I like that. Don't give them chances. Yep. Let them have it. But then you know that your wave is halfway shoved up. Hit that Q, reset it, and kind of back up. You have that TP ready if you want it. I don't know. We stopped the Maokai gank, but it might be right back and forth again for Sandy. Sandy looking like they want to make their team win as fast as possible. And like you said about that, as long as it goes, I mean, that's how you found out how your teammates really react to these stressful situations, especially in playoffs or when it's a best of 5. With those 2 more games, that's when you know if your teammate's really going to be there beside you through the thick and thin, or if they're just going to kind of fold and flex it out. But these teams already been through it. I mean, the 2-4 and 3-3. Huge fight here in the top lane. Jax having the counter strike. But no, they can't get the bot lane. Pride gonna hit that Sejuani onto the Millia. Millia having to flash and heal away. And the bot lane will stay alive for USLD. The Sigma staying Sigma alive. So for this long in the game, Sandy back to work in the top lane, though. Gonna flash. Maybe force a flash out of here. Work co-ops. There it goes again. Jax gonna return to the base to its safety. And now we have a lot of cooldowns and some just brought out for DPB, and they could be back out again for Sandy to take care of.
Proactiveness by the junglers across the board, really making use of those ganking paths. And it was easier by the fact that they also pathed away from each other, both junglers ending up on opposite sides of the map. We can actually see Pride skipping those camps, not even bothering to go for the crab either. Maybe wanting to go for a lane gank, but there is a ward in that middle bush, which means the Sej will be spotted out, and Sandy, who had to cut his pathing earlier for that mid gank, will get a little bit of tempo back. You were talking about how important that was earlier, Heat, and now we're going to have to see with the Maokai being on the map, whereas the Sejuani is a little bit jailed up there for the top side, if there can be any proactive plays seen. The dragon is up, the grub's going to be up in a little less than a minute, so objectives on the board for both teams. And USLD so far have more cards than dropping Point Blackfrost.
Yeah, definitely there. You see the Cole of the Jax as well. But Pride, I mean, got a lot of pride right there sitting on that board for so long. I don't know if they've seen it or not, but I mean, I guess you believe in your Jax, and that's what you need to do. Worker on ops on that Jax. You have to do a lot of, worker co-ops, and have to do a lot of work here throughout the whole entirety of this game. But you can really see a game plan coming out when you see which team goes for what. Which team goes for the dragon, which team goes for the grubs. You can see Sandy and Sejuani on the both sides of the map of the grubs right now on that top side here. And you see Pride kind of working their way towards that dragon, knowing they wasted a lot of time here, knowing that the Lulu is going to come up as well. But I don't think you really have that fight in towards there. See a little bit damage in the mid lane too. So, I mean, USLD's, the Sigma's really working out towards that grubs. Take advantage of that.
For sure, USLD getting the better of
There's a Aphelios stun down here, the bot lane barrier coming out. Coda is fighting for life in the minions, but will it be enough?
Oh, the minions!
Gonna take that first blood. Great job here for USLD. And man, I thought they were gonna back off on that one, but they kept going.
Yeah. Coda probably wanting to try and at least push in the wave there. Doesn't manage to do it. Uses the barrier, but Lost Zero had a barrier of his own. 1v1s from the AD carries is now Sandy. Gonna just peep up in the mid lane a little bit. Actually has full on access to cross over. Pride is on the dragon. Actually has to go over the wall. Can't even finish that objective. USLD unafraid to make the ballsy plays, unafraid to show on the map when they know they are stronger. As Grunkle's taking a little bit of damage. We're seeing the magic of this top lane 1v1 in real time, Heat. This is a skill matchup, like you said.
Yeah, they're going back and forth. I don't see too much here. Flash for the Grunkles, but I mean, this one's going to be so back and forth for so long. They both have Cole, they both have a Doran Shield, boots out of Jax, and a couple of biscuits, but as we all know, Aatrox scales into Affinity, so does Jax at the same point. So, I mean, there's not too much to really call on this one. The crazy thing to call about this one was that Pride had so much willingness to go for that dragon after the scene that that Coda got 1v1 there by Lost Zero. So I'm glad to see that USLD is going to go for this dragon and kind of take this one apart, knowing that they have the advantage down here.
USLD pretty much uncontested. Pride is on the other side of the map. Grunkles, though, is trying to push that wave. Does not have the flash, most crucially. We saw that most recently in the 1v1. Also used teleport, so Sejuani with the level 6 could really put Grunkles in a precarious situation.
That's an Aatrox start going down. Pride up here. Co-op's gonna land that counter-strike and a huge Sejuani R from Pride as well. He's gonna take the one.
Grunkles!
Co-ops though, the 2v1 to come out on top with Aatrox, and now they continue to have their success up here. USLD has nothing stopping them from a game 1 win right now.
And Pride having a little too much confidence there, walking away, wanting to give the kill over to his Jax. That's understandable.
Coming down the bot lane. They're not done yet. Huge flash from Panda and Coda. That'll force out another. It's tempo, 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 Quacks. It's how you win games. Keep them on their toes. If they can't find a way to keep 10 toes down, they're always working on a way to get back into a lead here. You can already see the 1K gold lead coming out from USLD.
10 toes down, but 2 steps behind. USLD are making it hurt here in this early game. Sure, they're only up about 1,000 gold, but the objectives are swinging their way. The kills are swinging their way. And not only that, but the gold allocation is immaculate for USLD. The kills are exactly where you want them to be. 1 for Grunkles, 1 for Lost Zero. They set themselves up for a dominant late game, just as dominant as how their early game has gone. Grubs are going to be up in a little less than a minute. This would be the respawns, and Dropping Point Blackfrost really want to get their hands on at least one of these to try and empower that side lane threat. But we can see USLD are just first on the trigger every time. They've got the prio in the mid lane. They've got the Milio roaming first. They've got Maokai on the top side of the map, whereas Pride is on the bot side. Everything is swinging in their direction. They are just that much quicker than Dropping Point, and that's what's really making the difference.
Well, actually, I'm going to repeat this a lot this whole series, but with laning phase, there's basics here. There's wave management, there's vision, and there's when your jungler is going to come down here. With DPB, it's all gone. I mean, you can see that the second party grubs is coming up here. Jax is pushed forward.
This is so
but there's
rough
no
for
backup.
This is such a rough
Oh, Lost
spot
Hero,
to
Sejuani's gonna find them out here. Pride working them down. Flash on the Lost Hero. Fellas running for their life. Asher going down, but no follow-up to flack that one up. And now Maokai and Sandy and the rest of USLD are gonna find themselves a 3-second grabs as Pride works for a kill that's not gonna go anywhere for them.
And they will be able to shove this wave in, deny a little bit of experience from the Aphelios, but they miss out on the kill. We can see CEO of Low Elo is also going for the reset, so reinforcements will arrive for USLD, but the Milio is walking to the lane alone. No vision, has to be careful not to face check the Sejuani.
Sandy going in on the Jackson to find them with the roots, and Jackson running for their life right now. Co-ops is working it out, has Flash still left up, and a tower to save their life as they flash towards it. Pride gonna find Lost Hero and Low Elo in front of their tower with no safety coming to go. Here comes the dive. Coda getting 3 shots back and forth from Lost Hero has no flash. Coda gonna grab the last hit blow onto Aphelios as Pride works their way out of backing out of Low Elo. But
whoa,
Panda, what are you? Panda gonna get caught. Now Co-op's getting caught on the top end, the other end of the map. Flash out of Sandy. And another fight going on here in the bot lane. Here is Low Elo gonna try to run away for the rest of life as well. Flashing over the wall, gonna save the life as well. Pride. Cruz is trying to 1v3 right now, will not find anybody, and now Wax. Who won that fight? Who won that whole draw right there? What is going on? Low Co-ops and Jax are still in the top lane, still alive. Sandy's still messing with them. Here comes a sapling. Co-ops, you have a tower, but do you have your life sitting in front of you? Gonna use a counter strike to lock down that Aatrox. Aatrox and Grunkles have been so successful. Here comes Sandy, finally taking down the last blow on the Co-ops. Wax, what is going on? This is crazy.
Yeah, it's devolving into a madness here. 12 minutes into the game, and we got tower dive after tower dive after tower dive. Both of them, though, going successfully for the teams that initiated them. Dropping point Blackfrost, managing to get a couple of kills to their name, namely Coda on this Ashe, getting some gold, has that static shiv complete. Meanwhile, the Lost Hero getting his own Yomu's Ghostblade. So first items there and available for the AD carries for both squads. And we talked about it in the draft heat, how important it was that the bot laners got ahead. And it seems like both teams got the memo, as I would expect a lot of the action from here on out to take place there, especially with the Dragon coming up.
Yeah, I mean, you picked Ashe and Aphelios, and you shut down Aphelios. That's a main goal here. You picked Jackson and Aatrox, but Aatrox is going to be that main top lane carry. We see Sandy down here doing a pink board, but I mean, right now there's no clear winner of who's going to do that damage here for DPP.
Scuffle in the top lane, and I have to think that the big thing making the difference is just definitely the scaling from USLD. They've got the objectives under their thumb, a dragon a dragon for them, both sets of grubs for them. Second dragon is available. Dropping point Blackfrost actually have control over this bot side river, so they could initiate a fight onto that objective if they wanted to. The pings are coming down from both squads. You got to fight in the top lane.
I'm waiting, Quacks. I did see the W come down from Aatrox, but there's no point in the bottom. Pride going in. Huge caught out here by USLD. They're getting completely obliterated. Panda gets the last hit blow on the Maokai, and the Ashe gets that hit onto Cruz as they take the last dragon standing here. 1-for-1 in dragons. Gold is even now. Kills are even. And top lane is still alive here. It's been a back and forth up there. What a battle. 0-2 on the Jax, 1-0 on the Aatrox, but there's no clear winner yet. I mean, both teams are still putting up a fight here in this mid game.
It's very close so far as the turret plates do drop. We can see Pride not even skipping a beat with the neutral objectives, going straight from the Dragon to the Rift Herald. Has the priority in the top side for the time being. We'll have to see how things shake out in the mid lane, because it looks like Sandy is anticipating where the Sejuani is and potentially wants to try and interrupt it. But Cruz and Sandy, this Swain and this Maokai don't have their level 6s available, something that you definitely need with this pick comp. You need the ability to survive, and Grunkles trying to survive a little bit might just be there enough for his jungler to make the way in.
Co-op is caught out. Gonna try and ward hop here. Here comes TP from FYS. But there's another fight in the bot lane too. It's pretty much even. FYS gonna try and save out Co-op. Co-op is gonna live and have Pride up there on the back end to try and help them out. Nothing too crazy up there in the top lane. A lot of half fights here. Nothing going down too crazy yet.
No, certainly not. It feels like every single, every single ounce of blood that has been spilled in this game has come from either a pick or a tower, a dive heat. We haven't really seen any full-blown fights at this point in the game. I feel like the closest we got was dropping point Blackfrost, getting those 2 kills onto Cruz and Sandy when they tried to maybe interrupt that dragon take about a minute and a half ago. But since then, we haven't really gotten much. And it is dropping point Blackfrost. What up?
It shows respect.
It does.
Both teams respect each other. Both teams know that they can win either way. Both teams know they can lose either way as well. Both teams know that they're going to put us in for a long night, Wax.
And I wouldn't have it any other way. Week 7, do or die time for both of these squads. The winner of this likely going to move on to playoffs and get those best of 5 reps in. In game number 1, if it's any indication, we are in for a long night, as you say. Pride, though, still rocking that Rift Herald, and with the plates dropping, it means that those towers are that much easier to take. So if they get a pick, they can easily transition that into a tower, and by extension, get more of the map for themselves. So I feel like the ball is sort of in dropping point Blackfrost's court, and we'll have to see if all of these pick tools that they have in their arsenal can come to fruition when it matters most.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I've been watching this Co-op versus Grunkles match a lot here, and I mean, Co-op just knows when to go, and even though they're 0-2, they keep fighting this one out. Grunkles gonna use their ulti finally, but every time that double kill comes in, Pride gonna go back in the bot lane here, low elo. Got a little too much for them to shoot, but Sandy gonna use the Maokai R just to kind of back them up. Pride still walking this one back out. Coda comes in to help out the team. Still has the Ash Art up as well. Lulu still full combo left to go. And FYS, I mean, shout out to them for keeping their team alive, being there where they need to be, and not being too selfish in that mid lane, just farming it out. But even though they've been roaming, they're still up at about 18 to 13 farm. And they catch out the huge trauma on Cruz. Cruz is feeling a little bit crazy here. Gonna flash out FYS and solo kill. And now bot lane tower's gonna go down. Here comes Coda having a flash and barrier as well. Says one trying to help their team out. Huge back of the Lulu are Panda going crazy with their team, and Coda getting a little too crazy, but gonna have to flash in as well. Panda getting to get the last hit on Lost Hero, and the rest of Sandy and low elo of USLD are gonna have to back this one up. Tower kill, 3 kills on top of that. DPB might be the team beat.
And then a solo kill in mid lane as well. DPB are coming up big here in this mid game. Grunkles, though, doesn't have the World Ender, doesn't have the flash, so might lose this Ahri if FYS can play correctly. A charm going to dissuade the Aatrox, saying, she's too pretty, gotta back on up. But so far, very charming gameplay from DPB since they had a bit of an unfortunate early game. They've rallied behind that. Those 2 kills onto Coda, I have to think, really gave them a clear avenue on where to play and which side of the map to play for. And since then, they have been fully committed to going toward that bot lane. Pride has spent so much time down there, and we just saw it, getting that tower, getting the pick onto CEO of low elo, and it has made the difference. There is a dragon coming up soon here. DPB still have that Rift Herald heat, so they can use that to try and force a response from USLD if they want. But this would be whoever gets it, the team in control of this neutral objective.
I'm watching just along with you, Quacks, and we're waiting. Who's gonna pull that trigger? FYS gonna grab that charm on the Sandy. Sandy is running for their lives right now. Pride trying to do the last hit on them. FYS will take that and back that one up. Now we have a dragon lead for DPB if USLD will let it stand. And you know, I was kind of thinking that Pride would let that Rift Herald go on the spawn here, but they are gonna drop that in the mid lane, I do believe, or it's still up maybe. But they will hit that last Mountain Drake, and they'll be up 1 Drake over a Cloud Drake in USLD.
Yes, they will. Dropping point Blackfrost finally in control of this game. 3,000 gold lead, 3 kills to the Ash.
Fight here in the bot lane. FYS and Grunkles gonna force that flash out. I'm sorry, Quacks. I thought that was gonna be a huge 1v1 there for Grunkles.
You are all good. Grunkles really the one we look at here to keep the team alive. 1-0-1 on the Aatrox. We've said it so many times before, but you can never really discount the scaling of this USLD squad. They have got a absolutely insane power curve post 20 minutes. And now, as we kind of, flip a switch into post 20-minute territory, we're looking at USLD to try and get themselves some picks because they themselves have a lot of tools to do so. They've got Sandy, they've got Lost Zero with the Gravitum gun, they've got Cruz. Most importantly, they've also got the AoE. So later in the game, once these team fights roll around, you expect USLD to be in control of a lot of those 5v5 scenarios, but we haven't seen many of them yet. So that is still a little bit up to interpretation. For the meantime, though, Dropping Point Blackfrost, their job is to just single the members of USLD out. We can see Cruz is on the top side of the map. They're making their way up there if they can get a pick onto Swain.
Destru is going to hit FYS to follow up with their own CC, and here comes Pride. Following up as well as Sejuani. Cruz is having a good time. 0-4 on that Swain. And you know what, Quacks? I'm just so confused right now. I thought USLD would be winning at this point right now. I mean, 20 minutes in, you have all your level 6s, you have all your team fight should be tremendous against this type of team like DPB. You should be able to just starve them out. But right now, we're only seeing that Grunkles is the main winning part of this USLD team. If I'm them, I'm thinking about next game right now, to be fair.
USLD, you kind of hit the nail on the head. Their whole game plan was to get those team fights up, get those late game carries operational. And they got the first part, but it seems like Dropping Point Blackfrost have done such a good job at thinning the line of where USLD can actually go. They've split the map so effectively that team fights are so difficult to come across, even with, fights that you would expect them to group on up with, like things like the Dragon. They got the pick onto Sandy, thus preventing a team fight from happening. And while I would say this game still's got a decent amount of life in it, DPB obviously ahead, but not to the point where I think USLD are out of the game just yet. I think USLD have a chance to turn it around come this next Dragon, but only if they can get that 5v5 activated. If not, it feels like more of the same story is going to occur in these next few minutes and going to take us to a very early game two, like you say, Heat.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's all about who wants it more. Do you put your body in the line like USLD has been doing without any success, or do you keep playing this chess game that is League of Legends right now? I mean, even Co-op, who has had such a bad early game, is going back up on the records right now. Cruz has not had a good time on the Swain, who has been buffed in the recent patch right now, has been counterpicked by the Artists 3-0-3, down 25 CS. We do know that Co-op is down 50 CS as well on the other end of the map, but even Aatrox knows that they can kind of split that map here and force them down here, or force the Fed Ari to go down there and match them. And this is where DPB can either shine or kind of get roughed up right now within the mix with Sandy coming down here to the bot lane.
Sandy trying to just get some vision. This is kind of the most valuable part of a champion like Maokai. You've got the lockdown potential, sure, but those saplings being able to provide you that extra bit of information, basically a free ward once stepped upon, really, really useful around those objectives. And you can see Dropping Point Blackfrost understand USLD don't have vision around this part of the map. They were looking for a pick, but it doesn't look like the bait is going to be taken today. Sigmas don't get baited in, they do the baiting, one would say. And it looks like the next trick that DPB are going to try and bait USLD into is this Dragon spawning in a little less than a minute. But again, it's Dropping Point Blackfrost first to the bot side river. Not in the mid lane though, which is what I like to see here. They are going to have to be forced to respond, and now
here comes that engage, Pride going right into Aatrox. Aatrox is going to walk this one out. Grunkles is now waiting for a chance to get right back into FYS, looking for the pick. A great Ari pick on this one. If I am USLD, I'm banning Ari next game because FYS just looks so comfortable in this champion. What we do know is that neither teams are great at taking objectives right now.
Teleport from co-ops.
We got a 5v5 coming.
USLD, they're sandwiched in. They've got to fight. They're in a corner.
Sandy gonna grab that Maokai R onto the Pride of Sejuani. Sejuani gonna retaliate with their own ulti. And that was the Sandy going right back down to the gray screen. And the rest of USLD are running for their lives. Aphelios, Swain, and now low elo, the next to fall. FYS chasing them down. Great charm again. And does he ever miss? Runkles again with the gray screen shutdown over 2. The Ari was now 5-0 at ace over to DPB. Were they ever in a losing spot to begin with? I mean, this team has been a shining light in this game 1, and I don't think they can ever be shut out because look at the amount of damage they keep running back. We were wondering if they're going to have damage in the beginning of this game to the end of this game right now. And I was wondering if they could burn those Baron, but with nobody else on the map to stop them from doing this Baron, they definitely have the Baron now in their hands, and a game 1 should be following next.
Yeah, the game really is in DPB's control, and now they get the big team fight win. They're going on to the Baron, but the health bars are being chunked out ever so slightly. The members of USLD have respawned, but like you said, he don't think they're going to be able to go for a contest.
Panda, what are you doing?
He's making his way in, but not without Panda going down. The Baron taking more members of Dropping Point Blackfrost than USLD did in that last team fight. Salt in the wound, even if it was intentional by DPB. 4 members still having that Baron buff, though. On top of the fact that they are 9,000 gold ahead heat. I feel like
biggest question of the night, though, Quacks. Do you burn the Lulu ulti for the Baron to stay alive, or do you just take the gray screen?
I mean, that would show them that they are. That would be an absolute Sigma move from Panda. It feels like he would be playing for the other team because he is not a part of USLD. But USLD not gonna be apart for long. They are going to group on up together in the mid lane to try and stop this push. But this is exactly what DPB want. They want the Jax built to freeload on the side lane. They're gonna have to send Grunkles to respond. But this Jax, despite not having a ton of kills, still has those 2 items, and he's still a late game Jaxie. So you're going to have to send more than 1 man to deal with this threat, and that just leaves DPB, the rest of the members in the mid lane, to crush this, to crush your base from this angle. It's a very difficult spot for USLD to play through.
Yeah, I agree here, but this is the real crunch time here for any team that is a part of it right now. Can you defend? That's playoffs, that's any game ever, but here comes a dive from co-ops, hosting to use a Counter-Strike, trying to save themselves, but they're just going down. DPB is in the back end right now, then they heal themselves up, take that tower, and back this one out. USLD is not going to go down without a fight.
No, they aren't. USLD trying to initiate as many brawls as they can. They know their backs are against the wall. They know they're in a corner. They have got to try and fight their way out of it. But no immediate Dragon, no immediate Baron, nothing really to fight for means USLD can't really force Dropping Point Blackfrost to meet them on even terms. DPB, they've got the gold lead in their hands. They've got the Dragon lead in their hands. By all measures, they don't have to take these fights, Heath. They can simply let the minions do their work for them, let the tempo do its thing. And when it comes time for Dragon, when it comes time for Baron, when one of the members of USLD are alone, that is when they can strike. And it looks like Worker Co-ops understood the assignment. He's going to try and get the jump onto Grunkles, but the Aatrox will spot him.
There's a couple of underlying issues with DPB right now. Either they can let this thing roll out like they want to with that Baron buff. It's going to be gone soon. They should have Elder or Soul Point in a couple of minutes here as well.
Yeah.
The problem is Aphelios is going to scale out here, and Aphelios will be Aphelios within their means at next item here. 3 items, Aphelios is going to be a lot scarier than it was in laning phase. Then should be able to catch out FYE, should be able to catch out Panda and Coda as well, if they have that front line of Sandy. If Sandy can take a breath and just kind of sit back, maybe like 2 or 3 hexes, then wait till 3 or 4 people are caught in, then go in, while Zero has their turret set up and everything is good to go. With Grunkles, though, Grunkles is going to have to either keep some pushing, keep that lead up, or fight with the team. With that being said, DPB either 1-3-1 this to victory or force this down, but you have about 5-10 minutes before this thing goes way back into the side of the favor.
For sure. USLD certainly just have to wait out the timer. And I am kind of interested to see what Cruz's build, the reason for Cruz's build, because usually the scaling of Swain also coincides with Rod of Ages, right? Along with that Malignance. And so
at
him
least a
having neither
visage,
of
right?
those,
Or
yeah,
Malignance, yeah, some healing on there.
Him having neither of those, I think, is really handicapping his ability to stay in those fights, to sustain in a lot of these exchanges. And then you just don't have really a frontliner that you can reliably go to. Sandy can't get into the backline of DPB. Grunkles hasn't been able to get into the backline of DPB, hasn't really been able to participate in a lot of these team fights as a whole on this Aatrox. So realistically, it's a rough spot for USLD to be able to go.
Fight of the game right now, as the rest of DPB are ready to make this one happen. Co-op's going in the backside of the team. The rest of Zero is walking out of this one. USLD are caught on their back end. Grunkle's getting huge damage on top of them. Aphelio, Swain, Maokai, and now Milio, the last one to fall, USLD. This is the game, set, and match for DPB. They're setting the tempo. They're setting game one. They're telling you that we came to play tonight and we are not going unless we have a W in our hands and we're eating it with our friends. Winner, winner, chicken dinner DPB right now as they take the nexus of USLD, saying, loser, go home.
DPB, a statement in game number one saying we want playoffs and we're willing to fight tooth and nail, spear, sword, and claw to get there. 0-0 and 17 for Pride in particular on this Sejuani. What an impressive game all around, as I believe that is the team that actually lost. They were not the team that got the victory on your screen. But yeah, very good and well executed game number one. Worried in those first 5 minutes, I will say. But after that, after those 2 kills that were given over to Coda on this Ashe, it felt like it was all smooth sailing from there.
I was gonna say, it's gonna show who lost right there, because you know who's either gonna be not picked or not banned in this one, because it is fearless. Show everything, show both sides, because we know that Swain, I mean, they took an L on it on USLV, but now they don't have to worry about in the bot lane. Now they don't have to worry about the Ashe. Ashe is such a pick or ban champion as well, even though it doesn't even do that much. That being said, within the AD carry role, they don't have to worry about the Ahri that's been picking everybody left and right as well, Sejuani as well, on top of that. I mean, top lane's going to be a 50-50 no matter what with these two champions. They both know how to fight. They don't want to stop fighting at all. That being said, dropping point Blackfrost, great game one. You showed exactly how to end game one as well. That's the biggest issue. If you don't set that tempo and end that game one quickly, you don't know what you're doing with the rest of your series, and you're going to be kind of lost when you are with your back against the wall with that one-on-one.
Absolutely. They closed the game out very immaculately. It felt like their mid-game, where a lot of teams struggle, is that phase, and they seem to thrive instead. So it's going to be up to the side of USLD to get us back to series point, to get themselves to a 1-1 standpoint. Meanwhile, DPB, one more step, and they could be over the finish line. That is playoffs. But until then, we are going to wait for those teams to gear on up, put those helmets back on, draw those swords yet again. So until then, we'll see you guys on the other side. everybody, and welcome back to the Titan Immortal League stream. And you may notice that this is not League of Legends. This is a bit of a new thing that we're trying on the Titan cast here, and it is Kiss, Marry, Kill. And I am joined once again by Heat, and I do have to say, this was not my idea, ladies and gentlemen, but it's a good one, and one that I am excited to talk about with you, Heat. And so I figure, as the guest, Heat, you want to explain what your choices are, because you explaining it will probably explain it for me, because keen-eyed viewers may notice that we have the exact same choices.
oh man, as I didn't know we were gonna do it all out like this one, but I am ready to go. I will blind this one back out again. So my original thinking was that, like, as a married man, my wife is very outspoken and very I don't need no man. So like Ezreal was my kill, because Ezreal feels like I'll do what you want to do. Are you hungry? Yeah, I'll do whatever you want to do. You want to go out to eat? We'll go out to eat.
That's
you
a good
choose what
point.
You want to eat. That's why I choose kill Ezreal. Like my wife is going to be like, I want Mexican food. I want Italian food or whatever like that. So I chose Kiss Way because I'm a 80 carry main. Again, that's why I chose like kill Ezreal, because Ezreal is kind of like that pass around 80 carry. Everybody kind of uses that one out. And Hui is like a unknown AP carry. You don't really know what you got with Hui. You kind of go mid lane with Hui, and not saying that Ezreal is not good. I love playing Ezreal, but on the very end of that one, we have a Aphelios. Aphelios is this one. You gotta work for this one, dude. We've seen this in game 1, 2, even with USLD. Like, you gotta work for this one. You gotta have CS down. My wife is very, very high strung and very, very high profile. So you gotta work for this one. You gotta know what you're doing. You gotta have a full-time job. You gotta know what you're getting at with the Aphelios. Because if you don't, you're not gonna get elo and you're not gonna have a good time. Because if you don't have your 1 through 3 set, Aphelios is gonna leave you down in the dirt, and that's what I like in a woman, and that's what I like in any partner, whatever you want in a partner. So with that being said, that's why I chose that. I hate you, Quacks. Why'd you make me go first? Go ahead. I hope you die more than I do in this one.
Hey, I got well, hang on, hold on. I feel like your reasoning for Hui was pretty south of what my reasoning was. First of all, let's talk about Hui as a person, right? So he is an artist. I at heart am a writer, though, so already the compatibility, you might be thinking, okay, this feels like married material, right? And I am also in a relationship with an artist. But the thing is, there's one thing that Hui does Heat in the lore, and that is the fact he idolizes Jhin. And now, I must ask you, this is one of those things where it's like, would you get into a relationship with somebody who like had like a 7th grade PowerPoint slideshow project, having to talk about Ted Bundy, and then from there on out had posters on the wall of Ted Bundy, and then had like photographed walls of Ted Bundy, talked about Ted Bundy during dates? That is a major red flag. So this kind of feels like a kiss that you would have in 7th grade, but only because your friends told you you didn't do it. So, a regrettable kiss toward Hui, never gonna marry someone that idolizes a serial killer.
Until Jeffrey Dahmer picks you up, right?
Yeah, I mean, Ezreal, though, in the same boat. Ezreal can die, and we'll leave it at that. Nobody likes Ezreal except for Zoe, but that's a discussion for another day. Probably one we can't even have on the broadcast here, Heat. So let's move on before we say something.
Hold on, because Ezreal got a lot of flack from me and you both. What I do have to say is that every Taric needs an Ezreal, and every strong person does need a follower. If my wife was here to pick between Kiss, Marry, Kill, Ezreal would be the marry, because that'd be me. So yeah. I just want to say for Ezreal real quick, man. That's all.
Yeah, but then, last but not least, there's Aphelios. Now, Aphelios, yeah, sure, he can't speak. And what's wrong with that? Right, that's okay. Because first of all,
I forgot about that part.
Yeah. First of all, he doesn't speak, which means that if you really loved him, you would learn how to sign, and that is just the definition of true love. Learning another language, I've seen too many K-dramas to not fall for this guy. And I will say, those K-dramas, most of them were involuntary watches. Anyway, the second point I would make for Aphelios is the fact that he's got a sister. And sure, you can't see the sister, talk to the sister, communicate to the sister, because she's essentially a ghost for only him to see, but she would give him advice on things to do, like, you know, some romantic tendencies, and I think that would sweeten up the relationship a significant amount. So you're basically dating a guy who is getting advice from a woman on how to impress another guy. And I mean, that's just the whole package. So marry Aphelios, easy choice, kill Ezreal, nobody loves him, and I kiss Hwei, regrettably, by that. There we go.
With that being said, hey, shout out Procoms, shout out Drake Virus. Your shoe needs will always be met by Drake Virus. eBay. If you're looking for a shoe that you need to put on your feet right now, Drake Virus has either the Connect or the way to get that Connect at Drake Virus on Instagram and Twitter. DrakeVirus.com as well. Procoms, they will get you elo. They will give you what you need to get your drafts in order as well. If Procoms was given in that draft pick last game, they definitely would have gave it over to DPB. With that being said, we'll get in the next draft and see what team will draft themselves into a tie or a 2-0 win and get themselves in the playoffs.
Yep, and again, the stakes are still high, Heat, and it seems like with Fearless being the thing that we're doing for the Immortal League, Game 2s and 3s, they only get more exciting. So you can see those champions across the board that you see on your screen. Those are champions that the respective team cannot pick, but only that team. So DPB, let's say they wanted to pick Sejuani, they have the ability to do so, but they cannot go for the Maokai. But yeah, like he said, we have fired away into the draft here, and we've got the giggles now because of that segment, which means it's going to be a hell of a fun broadcast.
Yeah, it definitely felt like an SNL skit, but we're good to go. We are back on it, back on track. Seraphine, Ziggs, Varus, Porky. But you can't play anything you saw last game, so it's a fresh new game. And with that being said, USLD has come out fighting, or they're going to get left behind by DPB.
Yep, DPB definitely got to put their foot on the gas here in game number 2. USLD, though, on the blue side, so they will have a B1 selection. The Yone still up and available. That Ashe not available, so they are no longer able to B1 that champion. But the Aurora was left undeterred, undetected, and will get picked on up here. DPB, though, what is going to be their response? Again, Yone is available. They can go for that if they want. But they're going to go for a little bit of engage here this time around, Pete.
I mean, Wukong it's a little bit of everything, which I love about that. DPB is a team to beat.
Oh no, they saw our kiss.
But the thing about Ezreal, though, he's reliable. Nobody told us that. Nobody said Ezreal's reliable, and Ezreal is like reliable. You know what you're gonna get out of him. Either gonna hit everything, or they're not gonna hit everything. With Kai'Sa too, same kind of boat right there. And with Aurora, like that's a champion that I seen banned out last kind of draft matchup, and I didn't really know why. And I'm excited to see why it's banned out in this game.
Yeah, we are just firing away for the bigs this time around. Amumu going to join USLD further in their comp. So very team fight oriented. It looks like very engage heavy, very much an AoE comp that wants to look for those 5v5. Something that USLD tried so hard to accomplish in game number 1. With dropping point Blackfrost constantly getting picks, constantly getting advantages before the fight started, really just deterred them from ever really being able to get that 5v5 fantasy off until it was too late. DPB though, going in for a little bit of, I would say, a lesser pick comp here. Obviously, they've got crowd control with things like the Wukong Cyclone, with things like the Braum, but they've also got a decent amount of range with the Ezreal as well. They don't have an AD carry that necessarily relishes in the engage that can be provided by the Wukong and Braum. So I'm looking at more champions to take root in that playstyle to get more engage on the board, potentially even some disengage, as there is a lot of engage on USLD, namely with those ultimates, Heat, and it's looking like they're going to take advantage of that. Silas going to be locked in here for FYS.
Normally you don't get a razz out of me on cam, but if Ezreal had a kiss for a kill, Braum would be the kiss, Tarek would be the Mary right there. So that being said, we have Ezreal's number 2 man in that bot lane right there for DPB, and we do have a lot of utility out of USLD right now, which they didn't have last game. I mean, and they had, you know, it's like kind of wishy-washy there. Aatrox is in that top lane. Redton is that number 1 of I'm going to either take you down or lose top lane. Amumu, reliable, gonna either go in and take down everybody, or they're gonna stop them from taking their jungle, or invades are there as well. I mean, if you're really high level on this Amumu, you're gonna be able to do whatever you want on that champion. Reliable. Aurora, that's a question mark, obviously. No matter what it's gonna be, even if it's really good or really bad, it's gonna be a question mark. Kai'Sa and Rel, it's like a top 5 bot lane that you ever seen in your life right now because of the scaling and the amount of utility that it has. So USLD has a solid team, right? DPB, they just repeated it. I mean, it's the same repeat. It's the exact same question mark that you had all along. Ezreal Braum has been a top 5 bot lane skill level, right? Either it works or doesn't work. So it's always going to be there. It's not going to be there no matter what. Gragas is always going to be reliable. Silas is always going to be a counter or a carry no matter what. Wukong, same thing. So what we have right here is DPB, won game 1. They want to test USLD. USLD is either going to thrive or they're going to just bury themselves into the dirt. So far, they're going to have to fight them again. I mean, it's going to be 3 and 4 against 3 and 4 again. So we'll see what happens. Quacks, your thoughts?
I mean, personally, I think one thing that we're kind of, not touching on quite yet is ease of execution. And USLD have a really easy comp to pull off here, Heat. It's basically press your R keys and let the champions do their thing, essentially for you. There isn't a lot outside of get that Curse of the Sad Mummy, get that Magnet Storm, go in there with the Dominus. The only real ult key that takes a little bit of skill, I would say, to utilize is going to be Lost Zero with that Killer Instinct on the Kai'Sa. So I'm definitely looking at that to be the X factor here in game number 2, sort of how Lost Zero is able to navigate these trials and tribulations going forward, because we saw a lot of action in the bot lane. None of it went the way of USLD. Every single monicum of advantage was given over to DPB in that bot lane. It was always Pride managing to get the better, or not Pride, Coda managing to get the better of Lost Zero in those exchanges, except for that one little level 1 skirmish that I believe we had. Outside of that, though, I feel like there was just not a lot of success for USLD in the bot lane. This time around, though, they need that success. They need this Kai'Sa to get ahead, because if they don't have an AD carry, if they don't have a marksman, then their comp falls apart at the seams. After those ult keys go, then unless DPB are all dead by the time that Curse of the Sad Mummy, Dominus, and Magnet Storm go through, they will be able to counterpunch with Cyclone, with Casket, with whatever the hell Silas ultimate they have as well. They've got a lot of defense and a lot of sustain in their kits to be able to survive initial bursts like the one USLD have. So it's going to be up to them to get that more consistent damage, and that more consistent damage is in the Kai'Sa.
I can't argue with it there. I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, with that being said, should we have game 2 going on pretty soon here? Again, shout out ProCount, shout out Drake Virus for your shoe needs. And yeah, it's you said Kai'Sa might be the one to watch, but I've only had so much games watched on Aurora and games played. I will say Aurora, I've never really played it. Instead like a ARAM. That's me personal. But with that being said, to be so confident that your back is on the wall and you put it on this champion, and game 1 it was banned out as well, to put yourself on this champion, this champ has to really carry you because either it's going to be done or not done. And we've seen Cruz get their they got spanked a little bit on the Swain. We've seen they got Swain spanked a little bit by the Ari of FYS. FYS can be on Silas. Silas can take whatever they need from their own laner. With that being said, we'll see game 2 right now, and
we are going to be starting up in game 2. Summoner's Rift, ladies and gentlemen, in all its splendor. And again, it is USLD backs against the wall. They are going to have to try and punch their way out of this hole they found themselves in. DPB have the ability to close it out right here, right now. No fancy movement coming out from either team. It looks like warding is not really on the cards. No clear information as to where the junglers of both teams are going to start. So I have to think that definitely favors Sandy on this Amumu, who just wants to full clear, right? Pride has a little bit more flexibility in what he wants to do as Wukong, but the real kicker of USLD's comp comes in those level 6 power spikes, and that is especially apparent for the jungler.
Pride has nothing to prove in this game 2 right now. Sandy had showings of what they need to do, but couldn't get it done due to whatever fact you want to put up there. You could put up a million reasons why, but Sandy on the Amumu should be able to make up for lost mistakes there they had in game 1. I would look for Sandy to be as proactive as possible here. Not even waiting for level 6. I mean, I would look for them to either hit bot lane as fast as possible, let Lost Zero actually carry them out into this late game here, or if you want to, snowball Grunkles into a position where they can actually carry themselves into a 2-tower lead, a inhib lead, and just really force what they need out of co-ops here. But on that Gragas, it's so hard to do.
Yeah. Gragas, easily the best champ, I would say, in the game, and being able to neutralize any sort of lane matchup. There is almost no champion in the game that full-on wins against this pick. So he will be able to kind of just neuter the top lane and make it difficult for USLD to really do anything up on that side of the map. So it's going to have to be up to Sandy to influence this bot lane, and that's where we said a lot of the focus had to be on, especially in the case of Lost Zero on this Kai'Sa. You've got to get the gold on this pick. You've got to make sure that consistent damage is prevalent post 20 minutes. The Amumu, though, pathing away from the bot lane, but also not on the same side as Pride. So no crab fight will be on the horizon, which I have to imagine is still good for Sandy in the long run, but it does leave Lost Zero and CEO of Low Elo open to potentially getting visited by the monkey himself.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's all dependent on the junglers of both teams here. I mean, Pride was able to not win co-op's top lane for them, but at least keep them available for the rest of the team here. They never left them at a chance to like get completely taken over by Grunkles. Pride also was so proactive in the bot lane, but that was all based off of FYS being so dominant in that mid lane there, having Swain having to change lanes so early in the game, level 3 up there in the top lane against co-op, and then we do see a side swap here, but I mean that shouldn't stop the laners from having the same kind of matchups though. I mean, Silas and Aurora looks a little bit uneven right now. FYS being half health, but they can heal up so quickly. Grunkles did the same kind of thing, so we do see a little bit of action here. Pride is in the mid lane. Cruz is gonna have to flash early on the Aurora, but here comes the Rel in the mid lane. Pride is now on the back end, ignited and running for their lives. FYS now half health as well, but Grunkle's gonna catch out co-op spots and they have to body slam Grunkle's away from them. Renekton is now on the prowl. Worker for co-ops gonna have to flash out from the little island there in the top lane. Flash here for Grunkles. Can they get the level 1 and the first blood here on the co-ops? They're gonna walk this one out. Great job. Wow, it's so even. These teams, you can tell, have been fighting for the lives here throughout this whole league.
Yeah, USLD pulling the trigger on multiple fronts. The mid lane play almost netting a kill onto Pride. The top lane play almost netting a kill onto Worker Co-ops. And that's a good sign. They burn the flash away from the Gragas, so a potential repeat gank from Sandy could be possible. Gragas, though, going to get pushed on into, so they would have to look for a dive, if anything. Grunkles, though, getting closer and closer to level 6. Once that Dominus gets unlocked, they will have a window where Gragas does not have Cask, because the experience is heavily in Renekton's favor, to go for a dive. Of course, the Amumu will have to be there, but it is possible, especially with the Grubs. We expect this top lane to be a lot more active in the coming minute.
I mean, with that being said, it all comes down to that early objectives like we did last game. The early dragon of the Grubs. Last game, it was all based on the Grubs. FYS is now on the turnaround in this game too. They do not feel comfortable as like they were against the Swain and Ari.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see who's gonna get that first blood, who's gonna make the play happen, who's gonna stick their neck out for this game too.
Looks like USLD is definitely stepping up to the plate. You can see they are the first onto the Grubs, but good reaction there by DPB. They're immediately going onto the Dragon. So we're just going to see the tried and true trade of objectives here, 6.5 minutes in. And I have to think that that probably favors DPB at the end of the day, them getting that scaling win con for champions like Ezreal, champions like Silas. They want to play, you know, for this 20 to 30 minute mark level where they can really flex those 2 to 3 items on those champions. And they're setting themselves up, at least objective-wise, to make that happen. Grunkles, though, taking a meaty chunk out of Worker Co-ops. This Renekton really dominating this top lane.
Yeah, I mean, we're not seeing a double cull anymore. We're seeing a cull versus a tier. Tier kind of favored out here for Gragas because of the cooldown reduction and the amount of healing that's going to do in later parts of the game. First Dragon over to DPB, but I mean, the Grubs is the main part of why you're going to end this game out here. So USLD in a better part than they were last game.
Yeah, for sure. USLD, I mean, they found themselves with an advantage in the early parts of game number 1, but DPB, they get a double kill on Dakota, the Ashe, managing to just steamroll after that, and the team fights become their favorite part of the game. They win out in every objective, they get the picks, they get the team fights, and they play that mid to late game perfectly. So it's going to be up to USLD to do something different.
First blood over to Mumu. Here comes FYS trying to stay alive, but Sandy and Cruz have a different problem for them. FYS can finally go down after their immediate show out from that Ari, and now it's a whole different game for DPB. Can they stay alive? Can they work out through the troubles that they are going to have to face in this game too? USLD came out to play.
Absolutely. USLD understanding those level 6 power spikes. As soon as they get those ultimates unlocked, they go for the aggressive play. They roam CEO of low elo on up toward mid lane, and they pull the trigger, and they're pulling the trigger more here in top lane.
Great dive by them. I mean, Grunkles showing why Renekton is the #1 champion to beat up there in that top lane. Either you do or die up there in the Renekton, and they're definitely doing more than dying. But Pride has a different answer for that. Might be another fight here down in the bot lane. Grunkles trying to 1v1 the clone.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's not the clone, it is the R from Wukong. But
Oh,
Wukong
no!
takes a chew on. It is a dive gone wrong here for Pride as Grunkles hits 2-0. And that is a 2-0 that is going to get worse and worse and worse. It is a pimple you can't pop up there for USLD because DPB is going to be trying all game right now to try and take down that Renekton. It's going to be too much for them. Another fight here in the bot lane. Flash in from the low elo. The CEO is now running for the lives to get flashed on and caught up there by the Braum passive. Oda firing away Q after Q after Q, flashing in. But Zero has a huge Kaisa R to disengage that. And now Oda is now taken down. Wow. USLD is looking like a whole different team this game too.
They are going absolutely crazy in this early game heat. They are winning across the board. Objectives going their way as well. And it seems like with this power 6 and 1 in kills, item advantages, unanimous here for USLD.
Huge Gragasar coming out in the Grunkles. Grunkles now caught out under the tower, taking 2 tower shots. Grunkles at quarter health. Another FYS engaged, but now CEO Elo is now in the mid lane, taking the FYS. FYS caught up with the Aurora R. FYS is nowhere to go. Shut down over to the Gragas in the top lane after the huge fight, and now a rail kill onto the Silas as well. It's 7-2. Quacks. It's a 3K gold lead, and the CS is going to be a way different favor for the side of USLD as well.
USLD are in the driver's seat, but Worker Co-op's getting that solo kill on the top side might give them the advantage they have been looking for. He has teleport available, can go back to lane and potentially be first to contest for these respawned grubs. We can also see CEO of Low Elo going for the reset. So numbers advantage kind of nullified here. Dropping point Blackfrost, though, don't look like they have any interest in going for a contest. They don't have the priority in the mid lane. They instead just want to put Pride on the bot side, farm up his camps, get more items. This Wukong in a very precarious situation after that failed top lane gank. And you just need to get more resources into your jungler. Can't really go to afford any more 50-50. So DPB definitely behind, but looking to just make the safer play and get something back in return.
I like that pun right there. He's pretty good. Grunkles though, 84-74 CS in the top lane, 1 kill over. Co-op still showing some life up there in the top lane. Pride and Sandy, it's 1-0-2, but Pride looks a little more proactive, just not successful in the way that they're using that Wukong at all. And I think Pride's just a little bit more used to being tanky off that Sejuani game, because they can outlive anything and just kind of run in, kind of back up, run back in again. Can't do that in Wukong, and we're going to see that in this Dragon fight right now.
Yeah, Dragon coming on up. Both teams meeting on opposite sides of the river.
Braum going in with the Pride, and Amumu ulti to fire right back. And Pride is going right back in with a number 2 of the Wukong ulti. CEO of Low Elo and Lost Hero are still trying to find a way into another kill back on top of that, but DPB is going to goon squad the rest of USLD into a gray screen. 7-5. DPB is not done fighting this one out. They won game 1 for a reason. I'm going to show you why they win game 2 if they can fight this one out correctly for the rest of the game and grab that second tier dragon. I mean, Soul Drake might be a key point of this game right now. We're only 12 minutes in.
I mean, deja vu here. We said the early game of game number 1 was in control of USLD. They took one bad fight, and DPB managed to turn it around. This might be just a repeat of what we saw there. Dragon going to be claimed by Pride, but the key difference there was DPB just being together in that team fight. Sure, they get hit by the massive Aurora ultimate, paired up with the Amumu, it chunks them out. But after that, you don't have much in the tank.
Oh, Co-op's gonna hit another crazy Gragas ulti. Runkel's going right back in with their ulti to re-engage that one in. I'm sorry, Quacks, but that is gonna be a dive here in the Co-op's close enough to figure out what they're gonna do in this Gragas, because there's 4 members up here trying to keep them down without a fight. And now FYS has a burnt TP and nowhere to go. Can they get 2 for 1? They will take the 1 for 0 and go right back to the Rotel that's going to spawn in a couple minutes here.
Yeah, they're going to take control of the top side of the map with DPV. Their bot laners are on that side as well. So they will be able to get a few turrets back for the Ezreal, because the Rel is on the other side of the map. We'll see how that Herald shakes out later.
Broncos running. Drew's going to land the Aurora ulti. FYS. And there's goes Pride in with the flash, ulti from Wukong. CEO Low Elo is right back in, followed by Sandy with the Amumu R, and now Pride is down for the count again. 2, 3, and 1 on this Wukong, and maybe a top lane tower along with the Rotator for the side of USLD. They do not want to give this game 2 without fight.
DPB going a little too deep there. The Pride of Pride, a little too much there. He pays with his life, but DPB it's not all bad for them. Wave is going to crash soon on the bot side. And sure, USLD get themselves the first turret, but DPB should be able to claim this one on the bot side, despite the fact that CEO of Low Elo on this rel has made their presence known. It's just a few hits away from being taken. But Grunkles is actually making his way toward the bot side. So if Coda decides to greed for this, they might pay with their life. Yeah, he's going to go for it. But the Renekton is right around the corner.
I'm waiting, just like you, Quacks. I want it to happen. It's not going to happen. You know what, Quacks? There's 2 sleeping Snorlaxes going on right now. There's Coda with that tier almost done. And there's a Lost Zero on a Kaisa that's actually scaled up that was not able to unleash in the Aphelios. And Lost Zero might go crazy in this mid game here with that Kaisa because they weren't able to on that Aphelios. And I'm kind of excited to see if Lost Zero can be the carry that USLD needs in this mid game.
Absolutely. Lost Zero, one of the premier 80 carries, I would say, here in the Immortal League. We've seen this man carry in multiple different matches. The faith USLD have on him cannot be overstated. And there's a reason why he gets put on things like the Aphelios, things like the Kaisa. It's because he knows how to execute those difficult mechanical champions.
Sandy going in on the Panda and Coda. Here comes Lost Zero to follow up. Panda uses the Braum ulti. Sandy run for the labs now. Gonna take that Ezreal ulti to the face, and now Sandy might be the one to go down as the one engaging. Pride gonna take down Sandy. Pride runs for the labs now. That's
the turret is down.
FYS going to Aurora in the backup end of Coda as well. Crows gonna try and walk this one out, but it might not be enough because the rest of the team of BBB is falling up. And now FYS gonna go down by Cruz. And the backup damage of Lost Zero as well. Coda still trying to chase the QEW of Ezreal, but it will not be enough. But that is still a 2-for-1 on the side of DPB.
DPB, not only do they get the tower, but they get 2 kills, some more resources into the mid-jungle duo that is Pride and FYS. And they go a little bit deep. It costs FYS his life. And more resources go the way of Kaisa. But DPB still fighting back in this game. 2,000 gold roughly, or rather 2,500 gold separate these teams. But the margins are starting to matter less and less as the game goes on. Gold difference matters less and less as the game continues. The Dragons, though, the next big target, DPB, in control of this objective. This would be sole point for them. 17.5 minutes into the game, it would set themselves up nicely for a comeback around that 21 to 22 minute mark. But the question is, can they out team fight the team fight comp?
Sandy's in that Rift Herald. Sandy is in the middle of 4 people of DPB. It will go down. Pride has one shot the jungler of USLD on the ends of a dragon spawning here.
That was a bit of an oopsie, I have to think, from Sandy. You need your jungler for this dragon. You have got to stop the stacking. And without the Amumu present, it is going to be sole point for DPB. And they don't even need to commit all the members to that objective. They can send worker co-ops to the top side to defend this tower. USLD, they want something in return, but they're not going to be able to get it.
Wax, I was just about to ask you, over under, does USLD get that dragon, or does DPB get that dragon? And I mean, they sold it. Sandy gave that Rotario to that mid lane here.
Again,
I almost gave you like a plus 1,000. USLD was going to give you that dragon and fight for the vision, fight for everything that they needed. I mean, Grunkles had that that TP as well. Everybody was ready to fight that one out. Cruz had TP as well. They could have fought tooth and nail. I really thought it was going to be a 5v5 for that last dragon here. And this could be the nail in the coffin if DPB gets that soul here, because it's only 20 minutes in. I mean, 19 minutes, give or take, whatever you want to call it. The problem is we don't know who's going to really scale this one out here. We have Renekton, who's going to fall off in the next 5 to 10 minutes here. It's going full lethality, full AB. But, I mean, against the Gragas, it's going to heal out and go full tank and healing. We don't really know what's going to happen in the next 5 or so minutes here between this lane. We don't know what's going to happen between Sandy and Pride. Pride has been winning this one out with that Triforce. But Sandy might be looking for another way in to make this one happen. But yeah, I mean, it's all even, but it could change within the next 5 minutes here on both sides.
For sure. USLD looking for a pick on the bot side of the map. I think they're trying to get the jump onto worker co-ops with this Gragas, but this is really the beauty of DPB's comp. They can just neutralize the game. They are so slippery, so hard to catch And USLD want to get all of these picks. They want to try and get these shutdowns and get control of these side lanes. But with how efficient these champions wave clear, with how easy it is for them to escape the clutches of USLD, the job just gets harder and harder. And DPB can be way more selective with how they want to fight. They can be way more picky about which fights they actually decide to take, whereas the ones they choose to not take, they can easily just bail on out. And USLD have to say, okay, well, we can't fight them. We have to look for more opportunities.
Exactly, Quacks. Like, what's the catch while you're giving 1-for-1? What's the catch without giving up an objective? What's the catch without losing the game in total here? I mean, we're fighting with time here on the side of USLD, and that's not what they want to do when they're already behind a game 1.
Yeah, for sure. USLD kind of racing against the clock with those dragons ticking down in seconds as the game goes on. Crunkles wants so desperately to get control of this tower, but I mean, look at Gragas. He's doing what he does best. You can't walk up, otherwise he's gonna bomba you under the tower, knock you down. He'll have phase rush, so he'll be able to outrun you. It's just such a good champ for neutralizing any side lane threat in the game, which is exactly what DPB are doing.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing. I mean, game 1, DPB was like, I'm 7 feet tall, you're 4 foot nothing, and I will keep my hand in front of you while you try to run at me the whole time. It's just control. They're controlling you, and they're playing chess. Like, my queen is open, can you take it? Without me taking your whole board in front of that as well, and that's what DPP has been doing most. With this one, they have been walking into free kill Sandy, trying to stay alive with the Immortal ulti retaliating, but there's nothing to do with them as they get taken out. Cruz is out here in the open, gonna jump out of the way of Silas, but nothing left to do after that one. I mean, Worker CEO, Worker Co-op has been baiting Grunkles this whole game here. Gonna miss that ulti from Gragas, but keep chasing as well. It's just a lot going on right now. I mean, Grunkles is fighting for nothing. I mean, to be honest, the mid lane fight is nothing. The bot lane fight's nothing. USLD is fighting for nothing because there's nothing to really do right now except you need to get confirmation of that dragon. You need to get vision. You need to get control of that whole site here, or give that up and take your Baron. There's no reason to be 1v1ing your way into victory because it's not going to happen.
USLD, you might be thinking, okay, they could potentially look for something on the top side. They could look for a trade of objectives. We do, unfortunately, have a pause here. Maybe something with Pride, as it looks like he was the one that disconnected. DPB going to be probably the one that initiated that. We'll have an update as soon as we get something from production, if at all. But yeah, I mean, USLD, you could be thinking, okay, they could maybe look for a neutral. They do burn Baron relatively quickly, but the problem is they don't have any vision on that top side, right? And they haven't scanned out any vision that the side of DPB might have, meaning that they would be going in dry and essentially going on to that Baron with a hope and a prayer and nothing else. Meanwhile, the bot side of the map, they've got vision, but they don't have numbers. They don't have damage. They don't have the strength to really match dropping point Blackfrost in a lot of these team fights. And I've got to say it again, Heat. I said it earlier in the game, but this is exactly the kind of scenario we found ourselves upon in game number 1, where USLD had control of the early game. They got picks across the board. They got gold leads across the board. And suddenly those withered away. They crumbled away with one miscalculated team fight that just swung the game away from their side of the pendulum. And I have to feel like this is the exact same scenario, them getting those 3 kills on the bot side toward that dragon, them being able to stack those objectives early as well, similar to what they did with the Grubs in game 1. They're doing it with the dragons in game number 2. Everything is repeating itself, and it feels like the biggest offender of these repeats is USLD themselves, because they did not adapt. They have not changed their game plan, and we're seeing it here in this game as it is the exact same result of what we saw in that first one.
Quacks. I don't care if it's platinum. I don't care if it's gold, silver, iron, diamond, master. I don't care what it is. Get your vision.
Yup.
Get your lanes right.
Yup.
Figure out where your jungler's going to go.
Yup.
And then figure out what lane is winning. It's 20 minutes in. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Why are we fighting? Okay. There's a better word for it, but we're half doing what we need to be doing, right? So why are we half doing Dragon? Why are we half doing Baron? Why are we half doing Rift Herald? Sorry, Grubs, whatever. Half doing picks on the side of USLD. They don't know if they want to do this or that, but they know they can win lane. So we know Redton wins lane, right?
Yeah.
Why aren't we sending Redton towards this mid lane, the bot lane, the dragons? We're down 3 dragons. Why not try and 5v5 for a dragon? Why not try and 5v5 for a mid lane? Why not try and 5v5 for this or that or whatever? Game 1, game 2, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, it doesn't matter what league you're in, what elo you're in, whatever you need to do, you need to go back to basics. And what we need to see from USLD right now is go back to basics. You're up 2K, you're up a kill, and you're down 3 dragons. Get your basics down, you can get objectives. There we go. Go ahead, Quacks.
And it feels like this team fight is going to determine who can swing game 2 in their favor. You can see FYS is on the top side with this Silas, but pay attention to that ward around the red buff. That is a flank angle that Silas could potentially take. And like we've said it so many times before, he's got a plethora of ultimates that are viable for him to steal. Dragon is up. It is being started by USLD. And it actually looks like Dropping Point Blackfrost have no interest in going for a contest. They are just looking to gain control of top side vision, set up for the Baron, and choke USLD out of their own jungle. I like this game plan. It feels like they could have gone for a fight on the Dragon, but like you said earlier, Heat, this is a team fight comp that USLD have drafted for themselves, and DPB not yet confident that they can win out in those 5v5s.
Wax, where is the basics at right now? We're going in, but there's still a Renton that's to deal with the Gragas that's backing right now. Lane shoved in. Top lane shoved in. They stopped the bleeding, but for what? I mean, you're hitting your juggler right now. I mean, there's nothing to really... You can put a mattress in there right now. There's nothing to stop you from dealing with what's going on right now, because DPB is hitting you from all angles. Either you stop them from the next dragon, or that Baron's gone and your map is gone. The good thing about USLD right now is that mid lane tower is up right now, and they got that bot lane tower. If they can steal as much vision as possible, they can get this back in this game, because the pick is where the win is at right now.
For sure. And the picks might spell Silas as he's actually forced to flash away. FYS getting out of that on the top side. And I'm really looking for DPB to just try and push down this turret. They are going to finally get their hands on the mid lane tower, but them not having the grubs really hurts their siege potential. Now USLD might look for a fight. We can see Sandy trying to walk up, and this is exactly what we want to see from them, isn't it, Heat? We want to see them make the proactive plays, go in with the Amumu, go in with the
Is that what we want to see, though? I want to see Sandy flash.
Yes.
QR. I want to see them fight. But that's just me, right? I don't even know why I'm mad with USLD right now. I had no pre-expectations. I just want to see them come back and force a game 3. I don't know, Wax. I'm just really very upset right now that they're not being proactive with the comp that they have, and that's really the biggest problem they have going on right now.
I think at some point USLD are going to have to force a choice off of Dropping Point Blackfrost, because we've talked about the scaling angle of having something like Ezreal as he actually arcane shifts forward. USLD not looking to go for the fight, but it feels like they're going to have to be the ones forcing DPB to respond into them, because eventually this Ezreal is going to get 3 items, the Silas is going to get 3 items, they're going to hit their power spikes, and past that point, if you're USLD, you're not going to have much to do. You're not going to be able to keep up with them. You're not going to be able to catch them. We've already talked about how slippery DPB is. So you've got to force them into a box. You've got to force them to your terms. And it feels like it starts with these dragons. They finally managed to get one for themselves. If they can hold on and stall out the soul for DPB and force them to fight, we could see a game 3 actually come to fruition, Heat.
If Koda wins, I'm going to change my answer to marry Ezreal, because Ezreal has been able to make every decision that they want to make right now without any repercussions at all. Eing into 5 people should not be legal on Ezreal at all. Flash and Bear are up. There's nothing going on the side of USLD that makes them proactive at all in the side of the bot lane of DPB. USLD needs to make something happen, or they're just going to be choked out with every resource they have on top of them because of that dragon just weighing over their ankles right now. I mean, they are definitely being taken for the lunch money, if you know what I'm saying. Like, they're just being... DPB is bullying them right now into a Game 2 win that should end the series. And right now, USLD is not playing like they should be right now when the rest of the season is hanging over their shoulders right now.
USLD, yep, I agree with you. They have got to try and be the masters of their own destiny in a way. Game number 2, it's all on them, right? They've got to be the ones making the plays, making the picks happen, getting down that vision. Dragon is up in a little less than a minute. Again, DPB still on Soul Point, a lot riding on the Dragons from here on out. A huge advantage rearing its ugly head. And USLD are going to be the ones that need to cut that head off at the neck if they want a chance at walking away with a game to win. And so far, positioning a little game of chicken here in these bushes.
Is it chicken, or is it... I know that you can beat us right now. With Sandy just being so far up, knowing that the next pick's going to happen. Yep. I'm waiting for the next team fight. I mean, this Dragon's going to be spawning pretty soon here.
Ooh,
Panda's caught out, though. Panda did not want to be right there. Ezra ulti going out. Going to walk this one out here as well. Kaisa W going to land onto Panda. Panda at quarter health. Having to walk all the way home. Yep. Both teams had TP. FYS did burn that one.
Cruz is going to join on up with his team. The Braum, a little bit of a late reset, meaning that the 4v5 timer duration for USLD to utilize will be extended. He does have the Hex Gates, but I think it's just too late, Heath. I think they've got the Dragon. They made the proactive plays. They got rewarded for it, and they again stopped the Soul from reaching dropping point Blackfrost.
Great job, USLD, by making me look like an idiot at casting. I appreciate that one at all. You stopped the Dragon Soul, and you made... He looked like he did not know what he was talking about right now, because now USLD is in the walking point like they should have been this whole time right now. 2K gold lead, 1 kill above as well, but the Baron is still hanging over their head as well. And they still have TPs up for co-op, other side being Grunkles, and I mean, it's still a 50-50 no matter what. But like we said this whole time, Quacks, it's going to be a long night.
It could be a long night. It could also be a very short night. DPB still in control of the Dragons. Still, that Soul Point is around the corner, and they are getting ever closer to those item spikes. Coda finally has 3 items available. Silas not far behind. And neither is the Gragas. So a lot of these champions on dropping point Blackfrost side are scaling up in items, scaling up in power, and making themselves more known around the map.
Death Bush. CEO of Low Elo is going to have to walk this one away at Rel. Almost down for the count tower over there for the Silas and FYS in that. Where was that? Was that mid lane?
Yeah, mid lane.
Okay,
they got the mid lane tower. And I love the way they're playing around this top side. They're playing to just gain control, gain vision, and make sure that if they get a pick onto USLD, if that pick onto CEO of Low Elo went through, it would have been an immediate pivot to, the Baron, and they would have forced a fight from USLD. So this just signals how careful they're going to have to be walking forward, overextending, trying to get vision past the vision line that has already been pre-established, because it could very easily result in one of them going down and DPP turning this game on its head and immediately pivoting forward onto their base.
I agree. This one is tooth and nail right now. That's why I'm so upset right now, Quacks. I feel like there should be a team winning right now, and they're both flirting with death, and that's the biggest issue that we have going on so far. 31 minutes in, the Dragons basically even, Baron being started by the side of DPB, and there's no reference of struggle so far. Just a bunch of damage from Baron being given back as USLD finally kind of straightening up right now, knowing that they could be on the Baron, but they are so smart. You can tell it's high elo play because they didn't just file in one by one, checking in for vision, checking in for who's doing the Baron. They kind of just checked it out, sent the W across, reset. Now I have vision control.
Yep, USLD extending that vision line, utilizing numbers advantage, utilizing a strong bot lane combo. They've still got plenty of strong members, you'll notice. USLD, Grunkle's 3-1, has the gold lead now, 2,000 in his favor over Workers Co-op. That lane from Renekton and Gragas heavily in the Gragas' favor until now, falling off just slightly. And everywhere else, you can essentially see the gold lead favors USLD, so they are still in control of this game, basically across the board. But DPB, you can never count them out. You count them out, and that's exactly the territory to which they thrive. Pride trying to protect that vision ward. FYS walking very close, but Panda might have overextended. Oh yeah, you've got to be careful. The margins for error are so thin, Keith. This game is on a knife's edge. They are walking on eggshells.
I mean, tell me I'm wrong, but I mean, next team fight wins no matter what.
Probably.
I mean, Co-op and Grunkles are gonna fight this one out like they've done so far, but Grunkles is now
Grunkles
gonna catch this one out. Gonna use the ulti on the Renekton, but I mean, taking so much damage, getting the tower down, gonna chase down the side of Co-op, but Co-op is just so much more healthier than Grunkles on that Renekton. Gragas. Oh! You know what? That's the biggest play I've seen this far in the series. Even check on Ezreal right now, this late in the game.
That's
so
insane.
Crazy to me.
They've got the numbers. They've got the numbers advantage. They got what they wanted. TP is still available for Workers Co-op if you want. But they're all going. Looks like they've got the Nasher.
Oh my God, Co-op's still fighting it. Like, he's still alive right now. He's gonna be chased down by 2 people, shut down over to Aurora, and the rest of DPB is still on the Baron. And they're gonna start this one out. FYS gonna steal Amu's ulti. Sandy is now caught up by the Silas who's gonna be chasing them down, and the rest of USLD is gonna try and do a little bit of damage control, but there's nothing else to be done because
they've got the
DPB
juggler
is still chasing them down. Sandy's down, Aurora's down, and now DPB is in the driving hand of a dragon point, soul point, and a Baron. I mean, what else can they do to end this game out from stopping all of the chances to be taken away from that dragon? And now DPB should just be able to 1-3-1 this win in the victory and stop the series in whole.
We talked about it in game number 1, Heat. They were so good at ending the game. The final phase was immaculate in game number 1. USLD staring down the barrel of a loaded shotgun here. Their playoffs chances dwindling. They've got to fight back. They had it in their hands. They still have a very, 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 very marginal gold lead. But the Baron acquired for DPB, a few picks to go with it, and then the Baron sold to boot. Every advantage has finally made its way onto dropping point Blackfrost. And that 1-3-1 gonna be a 4-1, it looks like, is now USLD want to try and swing this game back.
Sandy going in, Sandy with the movement ulti with one last ditch effort, but a huge Varus ulti to stop them from getting engaged. And they're now chasing them down. DPB is now trying to end out USLD's every chance of ending the game out. Coda doing free shots all over the map right now with the XX Soul. And now Wukong on the Pride is now taking out the rest of the team.
Ooh!
1, 2, 3, 4 into the 5. And now DPB knocking down at your door. The Nexus is next to follow. They fought hard for this one and they earned it with this game 2 win, knocking out that series. Quacks take us home.
Looking like DPB for the final home stretch. 3 members alive. CEO of Low Elo coming up soon, but this route will be the only one to try and stop dropping point Blackfrost. There's a chill in the air here, Heat, and DPB just withered away USLD in 2-0 fashion.
It happened out of nowhere, dude.
It did.
We were both waiting, I mean, tooth and nail. We were both waiting at, like, I could pull a hair right now. That's how thin it was right now. To understand how long we were waiting. I was like, I didn't even want to call a fight because of how close Co-ops and the top lane of USLD was, because of the fact that they were so even. The Renekton and Gragas were so even. I thought USLD had it in their hands, but they were not proactive enough because of the fact that Renekton got kind of too carried away. That Renekton fight in that bot lane, shed the light for DPB, dropping point Blackfrost. Don't forget that name. That name will be in your playoff brackets next week on showing you why they are the team to beat and why they're the team to lose against, because they will keep fighting. No matter what, they will take what you fought against them and put it right back into it with the Hextech Soul and the Ezreal and Silas McGreg's poke, brought them back in that game. And I mean, USLD dropped that game so quickly, and they played it. They fought well. I will say that. With that being said, Quacks, it was such a good week casting with you. You know, it's our first week, but I mean, this is a great game to watch.
This was immaculate play, I would say, from the side of DPB. Even when they were down in gold compared to USLD, they still managed to keep the gold lead super condensed. It never really broke past 4,000 to 5,000, and I think that always leaves you for one team fight, and suddenly the gold lead can kind of swing in your favor. So credit to them for still keeping up, even when they were behind. I mean, there are some team comps that kind of have to go behind in gold. I think this was definitely one of them, a comp that kind of thrives around that 3-item mark, and they really thrived around that 3-item mark, right? They managed to get a couple of team fight wins. They got the picks, they got the Baron, then they got more picks, then they got the Soul, and that opened the game up wide, and they blew it up. So congratulations to DPB, most likely going to be our last squad from Group A here in the Immortal League to make it to the playoffs. And USLD, well played to them. Again, this isn't necessarily indicative of, a win-lose. There is still a few other factors outside of their control that could determine who wins and who gets out. But for the most part, it is probably going to be DPB getting into playoffs. So for all of us on the cast, Quacks here, Heat just above me. Thank you for joining us on.
Hey, don't forget, shout out Crowcount, shout out Drake Virus at Instagram.com. Quacks, my bad, take it out.
And thank you so much, Golden, our producer, for helping us out behind the scenes. Thank you to everyone for joining us in the audience to watch this last regular season week of the Immortal League. Have a great night, and we'll see you all next week.